Okay, we're going to do a little bit of complex surfaces, understanding surface orientation, how we host things on a surface to control it a little better, and first kind of touch into parametric qualities. So first thing we're going to do is do new conceptual mass like we've done before. And I'm going to give a little tip that when you're doing your reference lines and drawing these first surfaces, drawing from right to left, this seems weird each time. I do them all right to left. Makes the surface face up. That sounds a little funny, but so what I'm doing here is I'm just grabbing these and making sure they're all not flat. Right? Okay. They're all reference lines. I can grab all three of them. Make surface, and now we have this complex form, right? I can adjust the surface. We've done this several times. I can grab this surface and divide it. Okay, I'm going to set this down to like 8, 10. Just a little less. And like before, I'm going to turn on the nodes so we can use those. Okay. Just having some fun with that for a second. Kind of interesting how messing with these does mess with the UV grid. See how the pattern's changing based on that. Sweat. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into, again, new family, just hit G, generic model adaptive. And I'm going to do nothing more than just say, draw a box here. And grab the box, create form. I'll bring it up to maybe 8 feet. Just nothing more than just a crazy, weird little rectangle. Nothing really important about it. Just make sure I can see it as a rectangle. And I placed it right over this center spot. It doesn't really matter. I just want you to look at this. Okay. Let's start off with this by let's file save PM spike. Okay. Let's load spike into the surface, and we notice that as soon as we go to put it on, I'll put it on there, it's sat perpendicular to that surface. Escape. See how it's sitting? It's perpendicular to that surface, so it's not at a weird angle. It's where it is. And if I hit repeat, we get orientation. I'm actually going to bump this up a little more. Let's say 20. There we go. Interesting. Let's make this back up to 14. Yeah, a little too much. 10. I like that. Interesting with that. Okay. Now, what I want you to see is, so they're all twisting and turning with that surface, right? That's what's important to understand. Control tab, we go back in here. So that was just a box sitting here. Now, notice there over on the left side, there's this always vertical. I can actually click that box, and now it still is taking that 0, 0 spot as where it wants to be located, where it's going to come in at. But now that I did that, I can load this in, and it'll say override existing. And now we're getting them in their place like they were, but they're all vertical, right? So there are times where we want this. There are times where you might want something to always be coming straight off a curved surface, but there are times where we want it to respond. So Control Tab and go back. And we're going to look at doing a few more complex things. So with the other generic, I'm going to delete this, the other generic model adaptive stuff we've done, we've usually started by placing a point and telling it be adaptive, right? Be a placement point. So this makes a placement point. When you don't put anything in here, the 0, 0, 0 is the placement point. That's why that box was coming in where it was. So for this one, we're going to start with this, and I'm going to, again, set a point, SW, on that surface right there. Escape, I can grab that point, shift it up. And I'm actually going to, again, make this a parametric, and I'm going to say base height. We'll call that a height. Okay. Now I'm going to set another point, SW, making sure I'm on this, set it there. Grab that. And I'm going to make this one new. I'm going to call this spike. And it's going to be an instance, okay? This is important. As we want, the idea is that the type always stays the same, kind of like the diameter of the pipes we changed, or the offsets. When we changed the type, they all changed. With the instance, we want each one of them to be unique where it's placed, okay? So each spike is going to be unique. Okay. Okay, but right now it's nothing, right? The spike actually isn't anything. We could come back in here and say we want the spike to be 5 feet. I was a little lost there. Okay. Base height 2 feet, that one's 5 feet. Okay, so now we're going to drop another one down here, and we're going to make this adaptive also. We're going to make a reference line, 3D snap-on, between these 2 points. But instead of that being the pipe, what we're going to do is we want this distance between these 2 points to control the height of that spike. Okay? So what I want to do is measure. I'm going to SW, select that plane, and now I'm measuring between these 2 points. See how this distance, when I move this, should change that. No matter where this goes, that distance is changing. Okay? Now this is what's important, is we're going to take this dimension, and we're going to, we need this to be important. So I'm going to put report dimension. So now this is an instance reporting parameter. This is what's going to talk to the other one. We have to make a reporting one if we want the other one to play to it. But right now it's not talking to it yet. So if we go into our properties, you'll see we have this reporting dimension. We can't change it because it's being controlled by that, which is why it's grayed out. But if we take this spike and write report dimension, let's say divided by 2, apply. All of a sudden, that height is changing based on its proximity. Okay? Now we can be even a lot more complex with this. Maybe we go in there and we say, we want this to actually be base height plus reporting dimension divided by 2, apply. So now we always have a certain, we're always going to have that minimum plus something, right? Okay. It's not, what do we want to go on here? What do we could make an object that actually do this. Right now, these are controlling factors, right? They're just the logic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, I'm going to load family. I'm going to load my generic pipe in, okay? My structural pipe, I'm going to, again, duplicate, rename as spike base, and then right click, I'm going to right click, duplicate, spike. All right, spike base. I'm going to put both these end offsets at 0. Pipe diameter. The base, I'm going to put, 3-inch diameter. That's good. But then the spike, I'm going to say an offset 0. Oh, that's 3 feet. I don't need 3 feet. 3 inches. This I'm going to do 2 inches. Let's go back into that. Let's make this 3 inches. Okay. So now let's grab that spike base. Two. Let's grab the spike. 1, 2. Okay. Let's see if it works. All right. Yep, that spike's moving, right? Because the adaptive pipe is adapting to that. Okay. Now we can load this in, override existing. It should just fail because we haven't given it more information. There's more things that need to happen. Let's delete these instances. What I want to show you is that we have two insertion points, right? We've got those two adaptive points in the thing. So we actually have to put, I'm just going to set on the work plane here a point, and this is going to be a control point for us. Okay, so see it's on the flat surface, it's right around here. I'm just going to put it like right underneath here. Right? It's kind of just right in that. Yeah. All right. So now what we want to do is bring in my structural column, PMT generic. Okay, and I'm going to grab one of these, and I'm going to grab that. Now, you'll notice right now it's just vertical. See how it's just placed there? It's just referencing that node, which is kind of floating there. It's not referencing the surface. So I can repeat this, but it's not quite vertical. It's not quite anything. It's just looking at this object. And so I want to show a more complex way of controlling this stuff. So right now, these 2 points are just sitting here. I want to grab this point, and we can control the way it sits. So I want to control it to where it's on host XYZ. This was where it's just going to go completely what we call normal to the surface. So I load this back in, say overwrite, and we should see shootout. Okay. See now perfectly, it's shooting out like that original one was. Now what's interesting here is I can still grab that, right? And all right. So now we're seeing that as that point gets closer or farther away to things, it's going to give it, we can almost, I'm going to move this in, we could give it a bald spot. So we made some of them really short down in here, and then longer everywhere else. Okay, but now, Control Tab, I want you to see that if we come back in and grab this, we can actually tell it to be things like global Z, then host XY. This one's really nice. What we're doing is we're saying always make the vertical vertical, but then honor the host in the other in its location. So when we do that, there are times where, again, we're still getting it to react the way we had it. It's reacting to the point. They're shorter here, longer there. But it's both controlled by the surface underneath and the object above. I'll do back at this one. And more often than not, there it was. Okay. Now, we can also still come in and say, I want to insert load family. What else did we have in here? We had that basic space frame, right? we can still grab this, even though we have that on there, and load our space frame in. All right. And now, so now we've got the space frame going underneath. We've got some crazy exterior or interior facades attaching on. And what, in about a total of an hour 20, we can get some pretty complex structures going. Facades, glazing, in Revit. Bye.